Welcome back. Well, last night I said I almost felt sorry for poor Labor MP Ed Husic having to defend the daily economic statements coming from this government. Tonight we're looking at the other side, and a man who must be in his element and another Perrott Show regular and favourite on the other side of the aisle is Shadow Assistant Treasurer Senator Matthias Cormann, talking to us from his hometown of Perth. Hello, Senator Cormann.
Good evening, good to be here.
I know you don't want to gloat, but, you know, give it your best shot. We started talking on Monday about doing something about the mining tax debacle. Then we had to wait till Tuesday, and I was a bit worried that we'd missed the boat. You said quite prophetically, don't worry, another day there'll be another disaster, and it has been a daily occurrence.
Well, I mean, it doesn't give me any pleasure, but I mean, this government is in complete chaos. It's been dysfunctional for a long time. They are clearly just all at sea, and it's not good for the country. Really, I mean, if the independent members of Parliament, the independents from New England and Lyne and so on, Rob Oakeshott, Tony Windsor, if they cared for our national interest, they would seriously consider supporting Tony Abbott's vote of no confidence in the House of Representatives when it comes up in the next few weeks.
Because do you agree, I mean, I've been around a lot longer than you, I know it's hard to believe, but I can't recall, I mean, I've seen a few budget leaks, but not these daily briefings. I mean, firstly, if the budget situation is deteriorating so rapidly by billions every day, how on earth do you formulate a document for next week? And secondly, if you're giving daily briefings on it, what credibility has this budget document got?
Well, none of Wayne Swan's budget have ever had any credibility. I mean, he has got a track record of always dramatically overestimating his revenue. It's a political strategy, so that down the track, when he needs something to blame for his latest budget black hole, for his latest massive deficit, what he does, and that's what he's done this year, he throws his arms up in the air and he says, shock horror, revenue has collapsed, even though the exact opposite is true. Government revenue this year, believe it or not, is 7.6% higher than last year. It is $25 billion higher than last year. That is 3 times the rate of inflation. But of course, the political spin, the dishonest political spin that's coming from this government is that somehow revenue has collapsed. And
well, to be fair, there are some outside factors. I mean, the commodity price collapse really is outside. We can't blame them for that, nor for the carbon price collapse in Europe.
Well,
but what I want to,
let me just say here, though. Let me say here, though, because like this time last year in the budget, the Treasurer unbelievably predicted that government revenue would increase by nearly 12%, even though Treasury was saying the economy would grow more slowly, even though Treasury was saying the terms of trade were going to fall. And we already knew this time last year, because we made that point this time last year, that the international carbon price would not be $29 a tonne in 2015-16.
Okay.
I mean, these are things that we pointed out a long time ago. They were predictable, and we predicted them.
My last question just on the budget before we go through what the announcements daily barrage we're getting this week. Do you agree, if the budget isn't going to have much credibility and the situation is changing so rapidly, is it likely, I mean, are you lot preparing for a mini budget or something to come in? Because there's lots of talk about we have to look at what the situation is. Is this going to be a meaningless document next week?
Well, I mean, the budget is absolutely going to be a meaningless document, because Wayne Swan's budgets are not worth the paper they're written on. They're complete fiction. What we will be waiting for, from the coalition's point of view, is a pre-election economic and fiscal outlook, which under the Charter of Budget Honesty has got to be released objectively and independently by the Secretaries of Treasury and Finance 10 days in from when the election is formally called. That'll be around about the 22nd of August on the current timetable. And of course, that's when we will be able to make final judgments on our policy costings, and also on what will be our strategy for the first 100 days after the election.
Okay, let's go through the announcements this week. One of your personal favourites, we had the report on the mining tax on Monday. Shock horror. What is so newsy about it? We know everyone's admitted it's not raising as much money as it said, so what's the problem?
Well, the problem is that the government still is persisting with keeping it in place. It's a tax which is bad for one of our most important industries, the mining industry. The government should have long agreed to scrap it. It's a tax which is complex, distorting, inefficient, costly to administer for government. The ITO alone has already spent $53 million administering.
Yeah, but they're raising $800 million. They're still raising more than they're spending.
Well, that is actually not true, Janine. It has so far raised net $88 million.
Oh, all right. Well, they're in the net. The 800 million is next year.
You know what? No, you are quoting a revised estimate. So the estimate from the government has gone from $4 billion net revenue to $3 billion in last year's budget to $2 billion in MYEFO. And the Parliamentary Budget Office is now suggesting that they think it'll be $800 million. We don't believe that figure is true. There's only one more quarterly instalment coming, which was payable by the 21st of April. There is
Senator
no
Cormann,
way
what about the fact there's some figures that have come out from two companies over your way, Fortescue and Reinhardt Prospecting, which show billions of dollars in tax credits under this mining tax. Do you find it a bit hard for them to be crying poor when they've got billions of credits that mean they won't have to pay for years?
Well, firstly, you've got to remember that the mining industry pays more than $20 billion in federal company tax and state royalties. It's not as if they're not paying any tax. But of course, all of the mining companies across Australia, for example, courtesy of the deal that Wayne Swan has put together, the most incompetent treasurer in the history of the Commonwealth, they're all accumulating state royalty credits. Now, given that mining companies across Australia are paying $8 billion worth of royalty payments on iron ore and coal, well, they're all accumulating those royalty payments as credits against any future mining tax liability. That's not their fault. That is the way Wayne Swan and Julia Gillard designed the deal.
OK, well, the other tax you want to get rid of, the carbon tax, what do you make of that today? I mean, they're getting rid of the goodies associated with it. I mean, again, that's looking a schmozzles now, isn't it?
Well, everything this government does is a schmozzle, and it's bad for Australia. I mean, we've got to get rid of the carbon tax, we've got to get rid of the mining tax. I mean, the carbon tax, not only was it a broken promise from this Prime Minister, it's a tax which pushes up the cost of living, which pushes up the cost of doing business, which makes us less competitive internationally, arguably at the worst possible time, while just shifting emissions overseas, while shifting jobs overseas. So, I mean, they didn't think this through. They didn't know what they were doing. They were raising more tax in order to give money away. They were planning to give more money away than it was going to raise. It was fiscal recklessness in the extreme.
Now, it's funny you say that, because your last answer could virtually be a blueprint for the criticism of your own paid parental leave. It's an impost on business. It's at a time we can't afford it. It's just reckless giving away. How can you seriously argue all these years against taxing the poor mining company, you said it tonight, the big companies that already pay tax, and defend another tax on big business that they are furious about?
Well, Janine, there's a fundamental difference. The carbon tax doesn't actually achieve anything positive. The paid parental leave levy, a temporary 1.5% levy on Australia's 3,000 largest companies, actually helps us achieve 3,000 companies.
Oh, it's
actually helps us achieve a very important economic reform for Australia. One of our biggest challenges as a nation moving forward is that we've got to grow our productivity more strongly again.
But you just argued the productivity when you put an impost on business that affects productivity. The whole mantra of your party has been take the impost off business to improve productivity.
Janine, this is a very important point. For us to grow productivity more strongly again, we've got to make sure that we keep growing our population. We've got to make sure that we increase workforce participation again, in particular by women. And our paid parental leave scheme will achieve exactly that. So over time, by increasing our productivity growth more strongly, we will be growing our economy more strongly, and that of course will be good for business, it'll be good for jobs, and it'll be good for government revenue too. And of course... and
it doesn't stick in your throat, Senator Cormann, as someone who's been very strongly pro taking these taxes and imposts off business, to have to defend this?
Well, our preference would be to be able to fund this very important economic reform from within consolidated revenue. But after 5 years of Labor fiscal mismanagement, we haven't got the capacity to do it. So we will have to pursue this very important economic reform through a temporary levy. But a reform which actually helps us grow our productivity more strongly is very different to a carbon tax, which just imposes an additional cost without actually making any positive difference to the economy. economy. In
just
fact, it
one
makes it
issue.
less competitive.
Just one issue. You're talking about the numbers being wrong and blowouts in costs on taxes for the Labor government. Today it's been estimated that you've got a $2 billion blowout, that you will be $2 billion short on this levy for the paid parental scheme. Again, how do you make up that? You've got your own black hole there already, haven't you?
Well, Janine, that's not true. I mean, in the lead up to the last election, we released our costings openly and transparently. We said how much our paid parental leave scheme would cost. That was 3 years ago. We said how we would fund it. We said that...
so there's no truth to the $2 billion gap?
There is absolutely no truth on the basis of the way the story was written today at all. I mean, if you, again, let me finish my answer. So we released our policy costings in the lead up to the last election, which was 3 years ago. We will be releasing our updated costings in the lead up to the next election, which will be sometime between now and the 14th of September, in good time before the next election, so people will be able to make judgments in relation to those costings. What I've said to you earlier, and what our position is, that we will wait for the pre-election fiscal outlook so that we know what the true state of the budget is, so we can finalise our costings in relation to all our policies, including the paid parental leave scheme.
Well, thank you for that. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Always a pleasure to have a spirited debate with you. Thank you, Senator Cormann.
I'll be back.
Oh, you will. That's it for tonight, but I'll be back again tomorrow night too. See you then.